type of memory, and I think this one is the most neglected. And I've discovered for me, it's the most powerful in solidifying my memory, regardless of whether I'm nervous or performing or not nervous at all. The third type of memory has been a godsend for me to learn about, and that is the intellectual form of memory. So how intellectual are we talking? Not really intellectual, it's just the name I gave to this type of memory. What you want to know is you want to know some specific things about what you're playing, not just how it sounds in your head, and not just what your fingers feel like when you're playing it. Some specific things. For instance, what position are you in? Let's pretend we're talking about a specific passage of the Mendelssohn Violin Concerto. And if you're going from 5th position to 4th to 3rd, that's a pattern. You're going down position by position, stepwise. Make note of where that happens, how big the shift is, what position you're going from, and what position you're going to. Memorize what arpeggio you're playing in a certain passage. Is it a first inversion B minor arpeggio? Memorize your form and structure. This is probably the first and foremost of the intellectual memory. Knowing what the skeletal structure is allows you to have the big picture in your mind. You'll know when danger spots are coming up. I want to show you really quick the power of knowing the form of a piece and how it can make your memorization 10 times easier. I'm using as an example the Gavotte from Minuet, and we'll show it to you up on your screen here. Now this piece is an intimidating two pages long, and that can be intimidating to most people. And not only that, it's full of a bunch of black notes, which makes it seem harder, even though they're really just ornaments written out. That, incidentally, is another thing that can help you to memorize. If instead of looking at each individual note, if you can decipher, oh, that's just a turn, or that's just a trill written out, it can really help to simplify all of the material running through your head. All right, so the Gavotte from Minuet, it's 2 pages long, but really it's only got 4 pieces of music that make it up. It's got part A, part B, part C, and this little coda type deal, part D. That's the big skeletal form. You've got your A material, B material, C material, and D material, but you've got an A, and then you've got like an A2 or an A prime, however you want to label it, doesn't matter. A1 ends in a certain way, A2 ends just a little bit differently, but it's really the same material, they just have different endings. So the form of Gavotte from Minuet is A1, A2, B1, B2, A2. And then it moves to the C material, and you've got C1, C2, A1, A2 with a grand pause. So A2 kind of gets interrupted. But that's just a matter of remembering the grand pause at that point. That would be part of your intellectual memory, one of your memory pillars. And then you've got your cute little D part, which is just a coda. And there's only one D, and it only happens one time at the end. I'm not going to go through this whole piece with you because it would take too long, but if I were you, I'd download and print this tune and write those little subsections down in it, and you'll see what I'm talking about. And I think that will help you to learn how to analyze the form of your own pieces. By memory pillars, I mean know exactly what the note looks like on the page, know where it is on the fingerboard, know what finger you're on, know what position you're in, know what position you're going to. Just know as much as you can about that passage, and especially figure out what it is that's tripping you up. Is it a string crossing? Is it a shift? Usually it's one of those two things. And if it's one of those two things, figure out, is it a memory issue or is it a technique issue? And then address it from there. Bottom line is that memory is just like a muscle. And if you want that muscle to be strong and reliable and perform for you, you need to work it out. You need to give it some exercise and strengthen it and work on it. And I want to encourage you not to start exercising that muscle with a huge piece like the Mendelssohn Violin Concerto. I want to encourage you to start with something easy like Suzuki Book 1, or a fiddle tune, or a hymn, or just something that you can easily play, and try to memorize 10 of those easy tunes, then move to something intermediate. And you'll find that you've gained strength and skills by memorizing the easy stuff, and those will help you to memorize the harder stuff. All right, I hope that you will find these tips helpful, and I'll see you next time.